In downtown Chicago, the air was thick with tension as thousands of anti-IC protesters surged through the streets, transforming the heart of the city into a battleground of voices, banners, and raw emotion. What began as a localized demonstration against immigration enforcement quickly evolved into a massive outpouring of frustration, anger, and unity that captured national attention. Federal Plaza became the epicenter of the movement early in the morning, as waves of people from all walks of life, immigrants fearing deportation, activists fighting for human rights, families seeking safety, and students demanding justice, gathered under a blazing sun, chanting in unison and carrying signs that read, "Abolish ICE," "No human is illegal," and "Immigrants make America great." For many, this wasn't just another protest. It was a fight for survival and dignity, a response to a series of aggressive IC raids that had rocked Chicago's immigrant communities over the past several weeks. Reports surfaced of federal agents detaining people without warrants, separating families during routine check-ins, and raiding neighborhoods in the early hours of the morning, leaving fear and uncertainty lingering over entire communities. In response, grassroots organizations such as the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights organized communities against deportations, and warehouse workers for justice mobilized swiftly, uniting thousands under a single demand: stop the raids, protect immigrant families, and abolish ICE. As the protests gained momentum, the chants of the crowd reverberated off the towering skyscrapers, echoing down Michigan Avenue and into the Loop, bringing traffic to a standstill and drawing the attention of both local authorities and national media outlets. Veronica Castro, one of the organizers, shouted through a megaphone, "ICE out of Chicago, ICE out of Illinois, ICE out everywhere," while activist Antonio Gutierrez described the protest as a pivot point for our society, arguing that the treatment of immigrant families was a defining issue for America's future. Among the sea of demonstrators were parents holding their children tightly, worried that one wrong encounter could tear their families apart, and students who spoke passionately about growing up in constant fear of losing loved ones to deportation. Emotions ran high, but the determination of the protesters was unshakable, even as tensions escalated between demonstrators and police attempting to control the massive crowds. The situation intensified when near Monroe and Wabash, chaos erupted as a speeding car plowed into crowd, striking a 66-year-old woman named Heather Blair, who suffered broken arm and head trauma, sending shockwaves of panic through the protesters. People screamed, others rushed to help the injured, and organizers quickly formed human chains to keep the crowd safe while paramedics arrived. Despite the horrifying incident, the march continued, demonstrating the resilience and solidarity of the movement. Police responded by deploying barricades, salt trucks, and fencing in an effort to control the demonstrations, and multiple arrests followed, at least 17 confirmed, on charges ranging from reckless conduct to assaulting officers and property damage. Yet, despite these confrontations, the majority of the protests remained peaceful, thanks in part to trained safety marshals and volunteer legal observers ensuring order. On social media, live streams of the protests spread rapidly, with hashtags like #AbolishIC, #ChicagoProtests, and #ImmigrantRights trending nationwide, drawing attention from across the country and sparking solidarity rallies in Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and beyond. Politicians, celebrities, and advocacy groups weighed in as well, with some condemning ICE's tactics as unconstitutional and others defending the agency's role in enforcing federal immigration laws, fueling an already heated debate over America's immigration policies. For many participants, this protest wasn't just about policy, but about people, real families, real lives, and real struggles. Stories poured out of the crowd. Fathers detained during workplace raids, mothers separated from their children at airports, young dreamers fearing for their futures, and entire neighborhoods living in constant anxiety of sudden ICE operations. Community legal aid groups set up temporary stations near the protests to assist families in filing emergency paperwork and provide hotline numbers for those fearing detainment. Religious leaders joined hands with activists, offering prayers and solidarity, while university students organized around-the-clock information hubs to educate others about immigrant rights. Meanwhile, inside City Hall, officials faced growing pressure to reinforce Chicago's status as a sanctuary city, with calls to pass stronger protections for undocumented residents and shield them from federal intervention. National media coverage exploded as images of the massive Chicago protest dominated headlines. CNN, BBC, Fox News, and the New York Times all ran segments on the growing unrest, framing it as part of a broader national reckoning over immigration enforcement. While some commentators highlighted the bravery and unity of the protesters, others criticized the demonstrations as disruptive and counterproductive, reflecting America's deep divisions over immigration policy. At the federal level, lawmakers were forced to respond, with some pushing for comprehensive immigration reform and others doubling down on stricter border security measures, setting the stage for what many believe will be one of the defining political battles of the coming years. As the days stretched into night, chants continued to rise, candles were lit in memory of those detained or deported, and speeches carried messages of hope, anger, and determination. Chicago had become the symbolic heart of a nationwide movement, one demanding dignity, justice, and safety for immigrant communities. Across the country, from Los Angeles to New York, similar demonstrations began to swell, connecting individual struggles into a unified call for change. For many, this was more than a protest. It was a turning point, a moment when ordinary people decided to stand against policies they saw as unjust and dehumanizing. As tensions between federal authorities and local governments deepen, the Chicago protests are likely just the beginning of a larger and more sustained confrontation over the future of immigration policy in the United States. What started as a single rally has grown into a national outcry, an unignorable demand for justice, and a movement that shows no signs of slowing down.